Hey guys, this is Mekkah. Welcome to the Tower of Valny. So glad you could join me and Joshua and Gillian here. We're going to be doing some RNG abuse in the Fire Emblem games. I'm going to explain how it works because there were a couple of questions about my FV8 LTC and what the hell I was doing with all these arrow dances and how did I rig all the things I wanted to rig. So I thought I'd make a quick explanation video. Now, I'm not an expert on this subject, I just know how it works roughly. I know the basics, I know how to use the script. But if you want a more elaborate and more high quality explanation, I'm going to be linking a couple of other sources that help me how to do it, or that could help you how to do it. But I wanted to have some sort of explanation on my channel. So let's talk about how the RNG works in Fire Emblem. Gotta start at the basics, right? That's what Wendy says. Excuse me. Anyway, so when you start a Fire Emblem game on the GBA and the older Fire Emblems, the RNG is set. It will always start at the same seed, and difference between playthroughs come from players doing different things. But if you were to start your own Fire Emblem game and do a couple of things, and then your friend opened their Fire Emblem game, the exact same game, and did the exact same moves, he would get the same outcome. So because of this, the RNG script, the RNG is predictable, and the list of RNs used can be read, it can be looked into, it can be filtered, and you can burn RNs until you get the outcome you want, as long as you make the correct moves. And to see the RNs, we use a script, it's called an LUA script. And I have one, and I'm going to link it in the description somewhere. I'm using a kind of old one. I know there's a newer one that does more stuff, but I haven't looked into it. So I'm just going to show it the way that I do it, the way that I know best. So what you got to do is you got to go to Tools at the top of your thing. I know you guys can see it. It's under Tools, and then LUA Scripting, and then New LUA Script Window. And then I'm going to show the thing that pops up right here. This is called the LUA Script Window. And you press Browse, and you find your RN script. It's probably in your Downloads folder if you got it online. You press Run, and what you see then is this. I'm going to close the window. We don't need it anymore. You see all these numbers here. You can ignore the left for now. This is the filter mode part. This is the important part for now. The list of RNs that are coming up next. So the next RN to be used is 96. Then you get 69. Then you get 78, etc., etc., etc. And here's how the game uses these RNs to determine battle outcome. So let's say I want to have Joshua move up here and attack this white right here. He has 82 hits, 36 crits, and 71 hits. I'm gonna remove the numbers for now so you guys can see it better. So the first thing the game does is it looks like it takes 2 RNs to determine whether you hit or not, because this is a GBA game, and from the GBA games and onward it uses 2 RNs to determine hit for the most part. So it rolls 2 RNs between, I think it's 1 and 99, or 0 and 99, or 1 and 100, something like that. And it takes the average of those, and if that's below the hit rate, which is 92, or which is 82, sorry, don't want to be confusing here. If the average of these 2 RNs is below 82, then the hit will land. If it's above 82, then the hit will miss. And if you connect your hit, then the next RN is determined on whether you crit. So it takes 1 RN, and compares it to 36. If it's below, then you will crit, and if it's above, then you will miss. Then after that's all done, if you get a crit, somehow the game rolls an extra RN to determine whether you get your Silencer or Assassinate or the one-hit KO from the Assassins in the FE7 and FE8. It always does this, even if the class attacking is not an Assassin, or if the class doesn't have the Assassinate skill. I don't know why, because this is not the case for other skills in this game, but they do it for Assassinate, which is kind of annoying sometimes if you don't take it into account. But if you do, you're going to be fine. So generally you want to set that to 99, but I'll get to that later. After that, it's the monster's turn to attack. He has 71 hits, so again the game rolls 2 RNs, compares the average of these 2 RNs to 71. If it's above 71, the monster will hit Joshua. If it's below 71, what did I say? If it's above 71, he will miss, and if it's below 71, he will hit. Sorry, I need to slow down there. And then if he hits Joshua, if it's below 71, then the game will roll an RN for crit, even if the monster has 0 crit, because it still rolls 2 numbers, let's say 25 and 50. And it's like, okay, the average of 25 and 50 is above 0, so he will not crit. It always does this. And you cannot crit with 0 crit, so I guess I should say that the RNs are between 1 and 99, but don't quote me on the details here. So, now you kind of know how combat works, so I'm going to show how it works in practice. So here's the list of numbers again. As I said, Joshua has 82 hit, and if you take the average of 96 and 69, the average of that is definitely below 82, so Joshua will hit. The next two RNs are used to determine whether he will crit or not. His crit rate is 36, but the crit RN is 78, which is above 36, so Joshua will not crit, and we will also not get a silencer roll. And the next RN will be used to determine whether the monster hits Joshua. And the monster has 71 hit, the next two RNs are 14 and 72. The average of that is definitely below 71, so the monster will hit Joshua. And the next RN determines whether he crits, so 42 is bigger than 0, of course, so the monster will not crit. This is going too fast, review it at your own leisure until you understand. Fiddle around with the script, it's easier to understand by doing it than just by watching this. So try it out. Which is just what we're going to do, because if my math is correct, Joshua should hit the monster, then get counterattacked, and get hit, and the monster will not crit, because, 0 crit. And it's Joshua's turn again. I think we were at the... Where were we? It doesn't matter. Let's just look at what he does. So, attack, hit me, yep, and then Joshua crits. So, let's say this is not the outcome I want. Let's say I want something different. I'm going to have to burn some RNs and find the right numbers. So, first we need to look at what exactly we want to happen. So, let's say we want Joshua to crit this guy right away. Save the killing edge use, don't get countered, crit this guy right away. So, going too fast here. Let me restart this thing. Okay, so right now, the left part starts making sense, starts being important. It says filter mode off right now, we want to turn that on. The way you do that is by pressing Q. So that will say filter mode on, which means we're going to start searching for the right RN strings, right series of RNs. And it says input mode off. We want input mode to be on. But before we turn on input mode, make sure that you're in position to do something, because you want to be able to see the combat window, because you're going to be inputting these numbers. And if you don't know them by heart, then you're going to have to move Joshua. But when you turn input mode on, you can't move Joshua anymore. You can't control your characters for a bit until you turn input mode off. Sorry, I can't speak today. So we'll turn input mode on by pressing I. And now we start typing the numbers. So the first thing we want is the hit rate, which is 82. And then you see this smaller than sign, which is correct. We want something to be below 82, but it's a hit rate, which means it uses 2 RNs. Now, to figure out a place where the average of two numbers that are next to each other is below 82, we can press H, and the script will know, okay, you're actually looking to hit an 82 hit. So I will look for numbers that average below 82 that are right next to each other. So then we press enter because we're done with this line. And next up is his crit. He has 36 crit, so we type 36 and we press enter. And we don't need anything else to happen in this battle for it to go right. So now we can turn input mode off. You turn it on by pressing I, you turn it off by pressing O. And here we see the distance is only 2 numbers. Now that means that it's 2 RNs away from where we want it. And you can actually see the green arrows on here that are pointing like this is the RNG you want. So we know we're close. And if you want to burn a couple RNs, here's how to do it. The game doesn't just use RNs for combat, but it also uses them for determining how to draw a arrow when it has to retrace one of these. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you move Joshua like this, he has moved his full 5 movements. But let's say I actually want to move him here. I would have to press down once, but then the game has to retrace his path because he only has 5 movements. And he's used all of it here. So the game has to retrace his path in order to determine what kind of path he will take. And it can either go up right or it can go right up. And to determine which one of these it picks, it uses a random number. So when I press down, the game is going to burn one number. As you can see, the distance to the right RN string has gone down from 2 to 1. These other numbers are next opportunity, basically, by the way. So I can also burn another 2 RNs if I want to get to the right outcome. But the point is, I just burned 1 RN, so the distance all went down by 1. And I can do this again. So go here. You need to be very careful when burning RNs, especially when you're close to the right distance. Because if you burn too many, you might have to start over. Or go to the next opportunity, which might not be that close if your RN burns are complicated. So now the distance is 0, and once the distance is 0, I can I make a save state real quick just to make sure I don't mess up. And go up here, attack, and boom! He dies because we got our crit that we wanted. Now you can do this with just about anything you want. Let's say I want Gilliam to get a javelin crit on this guy. I press Q and I to tell the game that I want to filter again. 77 hits, and this is actually a 2% crit, which is pretty low. I gotta press 0-2, not just 2, because otherwise the game thinks I want something with 20. Press enter and press O, and there we go. We're at 4. So 4 RNs burning. 4 RNs burning will get us to that 2% crit. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually if you want to like burn a lot of RNs at once, you want to use a mounted unit because they can cause more paths to have to be retraced, or a single path can be forced to retrace multiple times. But just try it out is probably the better advice here than listening to all the theory. So right now Gilliam should crit this guy with 77 crit, or 77 hit, and there we go. So that's how you get it. Level ups also use RNs, of course. If the corresponding RN is below their growth rate, then he will get a level up in that stat. But I'm not going to show you how to RNG use for a level up in this video. That's something you can figure out for yourself or by watching another video. So hopefully this explanation was clear to you and you'll be able to get whatever you want. I'm going to go with one more example that I think is kind of funny. Let's say you want Joshua to miss. In that case, we're still dealing with the 82 hit rate, but I actually have to change the lower than sign to is greater than. So how you do that is use the arrow key to change the arrow keys to change what sign you want, and we want the greater than sign because we want a series of RNs where 2 RNs next to each other are averaged above 82. So we do 82 and then we press hit because this is about hit rate. We need 2 RNs that are averaged together, and then we miss, and then let's say we want the monster to hit us. So we'll take 71 hits, and he needs to connect. So we'll press O, and we see it's 75 or 57 RNs away. So we'll start burning. This is a quicker way to do it than the one I showed. It's easy to use a 5-move unit to burn 1 RN at a time, but if you gotta burn a lot, I recommend bringing a mounted unit. As you can see, it takes a little bit of time. Okay, I'm very close now, so I'm slowing down because sometimes it burns 1, sometimes it burns 2, and sometimes it burns 3, depending on what path you take. Once you're down to like 4 RNs left, I tend to just burn single RNs at a time to make sure I don't overshoot, because then I'd have to burn 40 more to get to the next opportunity. So now Joshua should miss and then get hit by the monster. Let's see. There we go. And then he crits for good measure. Okay, thanks Joshua for your demonstration. So that's how to RNG abuse in a nutshell. It's not hard, but it's also not easy to get into at first. You just need to get used to it, try it out, have a lot of fun, and I hope this was, educational for you. Have a good day, and see you around.